Good afternoon and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at MercadoLibre, Roku, and Match Group. But first, let's take a look at the markets for Monday, August 12th. Okay, it's coming along. You know, it's summer's over, the kids are back to school, and today was not a great day in the market. So we had the S&P 500, it was down 1.25%. We had the NASDAQ Composite down 1.2%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 1.5%. So again, this is one of those things where headlines were a driving force. So we've got myself, Justin Nielsen here, Ed Carson. Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about what drove the market today?
Yeah, the futures were looking okay Sunday night, and then sometime early Monday morning, and the Hong Kong airport was shut down because the protests have been building over there for like 10 straight weeks. Meanwhile, Argentina, the elections, the pro-market, pro-reform president came in a distant second in the primary elections. Argentina had a lot of negatives there. We'll be talking more about that. And again, it's sort of like the market. It's sort of if you're already not in really good shape, you're not feeling well, and then some really bad news, like now you don't get any sleep that night. Well, you're just not in condition. This market has a China trade war. We're in a correction already. There's global economic concerns, and you have all these negative headlines. It's just there's not so much that the market and global economy can take.
Right, and so let's talk a little bit about the technical action that we saw here today. So Thursday was very strong. It almost looked like it was going to be a third-day follow-through day, and back above the 50-day moving average line on the NASDAQ Composite. Now, Friday and today, we're back below that line, so it's almost like that line is an area of resistance, the 8,000 level, an area of resistance, and we undercut that strong Thursday. So what does that tell you about what's going on?
Well, the rally attempt does not look so great. I mean, we had a few days, and yes, we could have a follow-through today, but that's not a guarantee that we're going to work. Some follow-through days and confirmed rallies can fail, but the fact is, there's not a guarantee. You see a couple of days that are positive. Yes, we had that. But those will happen. There are good days in bad markets. There are bad days in good markets. And you want to follow the trend. And, we haven't established a good trend. You might argue this wasn't that bad of a correction. It isn't that bad yet. But we don't have a good market right now. And it's just not a good situation for investors.
And we do have the way that the NASDAQ Composite, all the indexes sliced through their 50-day moving averages lines in such a vertical way, that vertical violation look to it. So that usually takes some time to recover from.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think the market's going to recover, it may not recover that fast. I mean, the traditional elevator down, escalator up. This was a hard elevator down too.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about the elections. So elections over the last few years seem to be, whether it's Brexit, presidential, seems to really throw things. And so in this case, it was South America.
Yeah, I mean, the president was expected to be behind in the first round, but he was behind by 15, 16 percentage points. Pretty much clear that he's not going to come back from that. And so you're going to see a leftist populist party return into power. That Argentina's economy did not do particularly well during that time. There's debt defaults, there's other situations. So you had really, really sharp losses in a lot of Argentine stocks.
Yes, and so let's go ahead and take a look at MercadoLibre. That was one that was very hard hit. This was a stock that we did have on leaderboard. We've actually, had this on a few different times, but most recently we didn't have as much profit going into this election as maybe we would have liked, and so this had to be cut. And what are you seeing on the technical action here?
Well, it fell more than 7-8% below the buy point, which is that's an automatic sell. Went through the 50-day line pretty sharply. I'm not sure if it closed above it or below that. I just want to keep in mind, MercadoLibre is down about 10% today. That is doing much better than a lot of the Argentina stocks, 30, 40, 50%.
Right.
I mean, it helps MercadoLibre, which is based in Argentina, but it has a lot of operations in Brazil and Mexico. Brazil, by the way, did have pretty sharp sell-off as well. I mean, like 2, 3, 4%. So there's concerns that you would see, if the number 2 Latin American economy is struggling, the number 1 economy, which isn't in the greatest of shape either, that could come under pressure too.
Yeah, just as one example, that there was that bank, GGAL as the ticker symbol, and that was down over 50% today. So when you're talking about relative strength there, I mean, MercadoLibre's 10% doesn't look so bad, which isn't saying much. But let's go ahead and go back into the domestic stocks, and let's talk about Roku, because Roku was looking very strong today despite a weak market. It got an upgrade, and it had its earnings last week. This was one that we have on Swing Trader, and bought on an earnings gap up that looked very strong and might have been a little bit scary to buy, but here we got our 10% profit goal already. We're actually holding on to this one. What was going on with Roku?
Well, I mean, they had really strong, earnings, you say, and today there was a Needham analyst. She raised it to like the highest on the street, a price target of like 150 or so. Really powerful. I mean, look, you don't know if it's going to work, but there's all these streaming networks coming in, and you all got to sign on to something. And Roku, with its devices and streaming video platform, it seems to be a winner. I mean, it's like they're all going to have to go through that. It's sort of like the gold mining. It's not necessarily the gold mining. It's the jeans. It's the Levi's.
Right.
It's the equipment, and so Roku seems to be a winner in that front.
And this is something that we've been talking about with Netflix getting more competition with Disney Plus, Apple getting into the original programming, and as you say, Roku can become the one ring that rules them all in terms of you gotta be on their platform in order to get more eyeballs.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about on the flip side, we had an earnings play that looked very strong at the beginning, but undercut, and that was Match Group. So if we could take a look at Match Group, which is MTCH. Now, of course, they have Match, they have Tinder, they've got the dating app online thing just basically cornered here, and they undercut the big gap up that they had after their earnings report. So what is that how does that shift your thinking on it?
Well, obviously, it may not be an automatic sell situation because it's probably not 7-8% below the opening price, but it's just not a positive sign. I mean, we're obviously in a correction. This does not seem to be really powering on like Roku. And keep in mind, in a bad market, there's always going to be some stocks, like a Roku, that just keep on going. There's just a story there, but most of them will not. And there's been a number of stocks that have shot up on earnings and then have sort of come back down because there wasn't that big news every day. Look, if the market, steadies and picks back up, maybe Match Group will move back higher. But, that's definitely a situation where you want to be thinking about what's your line in the sand. You buy at the opening price, you want to be thinking about getting out. It's actually coming back now almost into that traditional buy zone, but that's not really in play, in that situation. So.
Yeah, if you bought extended, which we do allow, you using the opening price on a breakaway gap like that, but buying extended, you do have to have that line in the sand and cut your loss. You don't want to let that get out of control, so you have to still manage your risk. Sometimes that's with position size, sometimes that's just with your stop loss.
Yeah, there was a lot of losses today. I mean, some were big, some were small. We got a few winners, but it's just like it's just not a very good market, and like most stocks are going to go down.
And as you said, are you feeling lucky that you'll get the one that doesn't? 1 out of 10, 1 out of So, as Clint Eastwood would say, do you feel lucky, punk? So, okay, that'll do it for us today. Just a reminder, Allie is out in New York. She just filmed another investing strategies with NASDAQ, and so please do check that out. That's something that we have available for you that should be dropping today. So you can always get to that with investors.com/investing strategies. We also have a lot of social media platforms that you can take a look at our content on. We have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. So please follow us on any of those social media platforms. And thank you very much for watching. We will see you here tomorrow.